So right now, America is being financially manipulated by people who have money and are able to exploit all of these tax leaps. And we're invited by others, more than likely, because the odds of them stumbling across a lot of these laws, I'm sure, aren't that, you know, not that easy unless they teach them in Ivy League schools and stuff. And they teach them in accounting schools. But I don't know. I would say that for the most part, a lot of the laws that are helping these guys, you know, do their economic tyranny are obscured and kind of you'd have to hunt. It would be some serious hunting that might be like available at some library, but it would be really hard to get a hold of the whatever it is. And these guys, they hire lawyers and stuff, right? And these guys will pass down precedents and clauses and stuff within their circles. And basically, like there's been like bankers and other people, and they're like, oh, and then you just do the credit thing, you know. And I just live off credit and I don't pay taxes, you know. As long as is they spend enough in loans and credit so that the revenue that they bring in pays it back. They get to keep this infinite little loophole of gaining assets and stuff that are relatively tax free. Possibly entirely tax free if you got the right guys, and like legally too. We're not talking about like um, fake write offs and stuff. We're talking about like legally, like they put these clauses into things, right? And they know how to exploit them and how to word everything, and they can hold a straight face when they're lying through their face, you know. And so these guys are waging economic war on the United States of America because they got nothing else to do and they're bored. Um, literally, they've gotten bored of spending money, more than likely. Slash, you once you get into an addicted habit of spending money, it's probably like any other drug addiction, and you just need more and more and more. Otherwise, you go into like a depression or something like that. I can only hypothesize. And so, like these dudes, right? They lobbied Congress, and they lobbied the House of Representatives, like with their hedge fund money and stuff like that, and they used lawyers and everything. So you can't connect it back to them, because the odds that you're ever going to get one of these lawyers to turn and flip on them, like for any, like I bet you, even if like God told them all of the dastardly shit that they did that affected their lives, like if there was any, like they probably still wouldn't give a shit, they wouldn't. And so, like, basically they have like this unchecked tyranny loop, and this was supposed to be not the European, lords and ladies tyranny. It was supposed to be capitalism, and America's not a capitalist country. It's not. It's lords and ladies, and everybody wants to be a king, but nobody knows, what a king is. And so the people who have the most money are most able to affect inflation. Okay, like yes, there's a astounding amount of people in the lower classes that are taking out loans and credit, and it adds up to a very substantial amount that does increase inflation. Uh, like the thing is that these folks on the top tiers, like they're not really paying any taxes at all. Like entire police forces will open the door for them and stuff. The feds will look the other way. It's like like they're like the kings of Europe. sort of, you know, like their kids, sometimes they do commit crimes that are pretty heinous, or, you know, hurt other people, and, you know, because, oh, of course that's not a crime to them, right? But you know, there's and sometimes it hits the news, and sometimes it doesn't hit the news. You know, it usually hits the news if they're, you know, there are people who like shame, like they enjoy it, or they pissed off another person who is higher in their group, and so they shame them, and so well, I mean, you know, you guys are gaslighting narcissists, sociopaths, and I'm tired of whatever it is. I'm tired of it. Tired of it. And so you wouldn't let me join in any reindeer games or whatever. I can't even get a house where I grew up. I can't get a house anywhere in America. Not that I'd want to live anywhere other than where I grew up, where I know all the people, sort of, or at least, you know, whatever it is. I don't feel homesick or whatever. And so I'm just like, fuck it. Fuck it. We're going live. We're going live. Because I could give a shit. I know who I am, and I know what I'm capable of by just sitting here and telling you all that basically, like, because, you know, the possibly one person who makes it 5 minutes into this video, we have a pretty bad track record so far, but we have some videos up. Okay, we got some videos up. The comedy ones are the best, but you know, come here, and so basically, like, these rich people all over this country, no matter where their country of origin was, like, they're not paying taxes to the U.S. government, through, or if they are paying taxes, it's like a ridiculously small amount compared to how much they're supposed to be paying for how much resources and stuff they use, you know, the disproportionate amount of treatment and things that they receive. And so it's amazing, because, like, well, at the same time, you know, like, you can't, like, it's hard to, like, you know, the police, like, they have their policemen's funds and stuff, you know, and somebody donates a bunch of money to it, and that's all above board and is a tax write-off, I'm pretty sure. And you're allowed to do a certain amount of that legally, you know, and this is, you know, like, the thing is that people who have had their stickers and stuff like that have taunted me, and then, you know, like, sometimes it only happened a few times where, like, officers were kind of like, oh, you know, like, you're just the poor, you know, like, know your place, poor man. To which I can't really fully recall those incidences right now, and I don't really want to, but so you're on your own, America. And so so, like, basically, the if you have enough money to live off your credit cards, which means that you have your 30 days to pay it back before it becomes interest and stuff, right? And so what they do is, like, and you can do this in any economic demographic. You can, I'm pretty sure, but maybe not. There's a good chance that they made it so that you have to be in the above $250,000 club, you know, something like that, to really exploit, like, just to do the whole thing with the credit, no tax credit life, you know. So somebody, like, I like, the theory would be, like, somebody who works at McDonald's would get a credit card, and they would keep in mind how much money they have in a month and budget it so that they spend on their credit card that much money, and they send in the check like clockwork. They pay it off, you know, and then they wouldn't have to pay taxes, you know, like the 30% or whatever. Like it's all untaxed money because it goes back to paying debts. Okay, and so since I'm there's a good chance that it's an open loop, you know, and while it does create more inflation and stuff, nobody really cares, you know. Like inflation doesn't make any sense anyway, because a bunch of people who already have a shitload of money, who aren't giving it or dispersing it like how they said they would with Reaganomics and shit, are just like, haha, well, we have it and you want it, so what are you gonna do for it? You know? Like, I'm trying to fuck your little sister and your mother, and your brother. I'm gonna do whatever I want. I'm a king. I'm a god. Like, literally, the dudes are like this. And ladies, of course, ladies are like this. You know? Perhaps not in so many words, or as well played as I have just. And so, basically, like, there is a chance that it is possible for people in the lower demographics to exploit these credit loops, even though it does inflate. You know, like that would mean that the largest tax-paying body of the United States of America would not be paying any taxes anymore if they exploited this little loop, you know. But there's a lot of people who are shamers, you know, and like what would the neighbors think if they found out they were on welfare, or that that they were living on credit, you know. Like what would everybody think if they were living on credit, you know? And so they won't exploit things, and that's interesting. That's cute. I'm not hating on them for their choice not to, because they, somewhere in their mind, they're like, this is wrong. You know, like, I gotta pay my taxes so that we can pay the police, and we can pay the army, and we can pay everybody. But basically, unless is seriously only for certain tax brackets where you can utilize these credit holes, which is entirely possible because this is the United States of America, right? I mean, some people will say that the Titanic, that there was a bomb that went off, and that U.S. Steel guy, Rockefeller, got a bunch of his competitors and stuff to be on the ship, but then also that it was like a fun thing, you know, like when you watch a show like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and they're doing pranks and stuff. They're like bored, and they're trying to figure out a scam or some kind of thing like that, and so, like, they don't care how it affects other people's lives, you know, but they're bored. Who cares? Like, fuck you, their money. And so, like, that J.P. Morgan, or knows Rockefeller, I think, and he's the guy who was behind the Titanic's demise, apparently. I can't remember, like, it was probably like just a conspiracy video, right, that was logically able to be put together, like Fahrenheit 9/11 and other such things, right? And so, like World War II being a gigantic scam to kill off a bunch of people, and give the rich people a bunch of hardened killers for the next 20 or more years, to go and, you know, make sure that, well, they have a little bit of something that they want to continue to fight for, and they have already pulled the trigger before. So, you know, if anybody in America wants to cry tyranny and decide that the Constitution has been breached, and that You know, in that first paragraph where it says, you know, if it becomes tyrannous, like tear it down, and anybody wants to do that, like they're Johnny on the spot with their guns and their willingness to kill and their probable love of killing, you know, and everybody else is just everybody else. It's not them. I mean, that's how a lot of guys get through war, apparently, you know, like a lot of, I don't know who. Like I've talked to a lot of veterans and stuff, and everybody has their own mentality. And there's a gigantic swath, or whatever you want, a huge trough of people who are like, well, I did whatever I felt that I had to get through war. / it was war, so there's no crimes in war, you know. And so, you know, like the government said that this was a war, and so there is no crimes because it's war, and we're warring on these people. So who cares? You know, and then of course, they probably think that they're God and stuff like that. Whether that's like a legal tactic or whatever the fuck it is, you know, like they're not. You know, there's only one real, authentic creator being, and if you don't know who that fuck that guy is, and you don't listen to that fucking shit 100%, there's problems. There's problem. And so the people up in in other countries, the people in the hills are the poor people, and the people in the lowlands or whatever, in the more desirable flat areas, are the richer people. But like in America, like the people in the hills are the rich people. And so like there isn't like a bunch of readily available information about these credit tax loops. Like I haven't really researched much of it. Like maybe it's available all online about the whole debt cycle, you know. And so like you take and you get your credit card and then you spend it and then you pay it back in the first 30 days, and then you get to spend more, and then over the course of time you get to up your credit score and your credit allotment, right? And as long as you can keep paying it back, like you never have to pay the taxes on what you're buying. Like there might be like other taxes that you have to pay, you know, per se, like item taxes or whatever, but and you're still paying that 4%. So I mean, remember, America, you're paying like 33%, right? To is it to between the federal and the state government? Is it 33%? Somewhere around there for the majority worker. Plus, you're paying whatever your state's commodities taxes are. You know, like some places it's like 6 or 8 cents on the dollar, and other places it's like 4 cents. You know, and then. And they'll probably go up several numbers on the decibel, so that if you are spending a bunch, like those decibel numbers make a difference, you know. But so like you'd be paying more like 37% in taxes, and then because America has this, you know, like, oh, we'll never have a government where, you know, like we have road crews and stuff like that. That are paid for by the government, and construction crews for public projects, you know, so that we don't get into like these issues where people exploit construction contracts for, you know, gigantic sums of money, whatever kind of people they are, you know, because it used to be like a mob trick or something like that. But now, I mean, any swinging dick can bid on a fucking contract, and they might actually get it. You know, if they undercut people enough, they might actually get it. You know, and so they like I've seen it all over America. Like it took them fucking 4 years to build the interstate with Eisenhower. And it takes them 4 years to build a mile of fucking road now. So, You know, like, if that's not tyranny and corruption, I don't know what the fuck is. You know, you gaslighting retarded motherfuckers. Retarded means stupid, by the way. It's not a derogatory term towards people who are born with whatever it is, because mommy and daddy wanted to party, you know, or it's just like a genetic whatever it is, and they're slash, you know, this is probably the best time to be born certain ways, given the past. And I mean, sometimes, you know, people, they pay the bills, you know. And but so that's another topic. America's what do you call it? Special needs. I don't know what they want to call themselves. Special needs corruption across America, where principals and shit are taking special needs money and pocketing it in their bank accounts somehow. Because if you look at they'll say and stuff in the news sometimes how much the government's awarding to the special needs programs and stuff like that. Like, you can check it somewhere, and then you look at the people that they hire, you know. And it's like, whoa, are you qualified to handle somebody like this? You know, like, this is because like sometimes I would see them being like a little too normal with their person, you know, like forgetting that they have whatever it is, and that they have their conditions and their whatever it is, and that they're getting paid, you know, usually just to stand next to them and talk to some degree. But I don't really know. I mean, they have their list of checklists and stuff like that, but I do know that they're not there's a lot of money between that is not accounted for when you do the math between the salaries and the amount of money that was awarded, you know. And then they look for all of they have all these little spots where it goes into like these dead ends, just like these contracts for like construction companies that bid on government projects, you know. And so, like, and these people are the kinds of people who usually are super anti-welfare and stuff, and you know, but at the same time, like, they're scamming the government for fucking, you know, millions and millions of dollars and more, hundreds of millions of dollars sometimes, and billions. And so like the build a wall, like building a wall between Mexico and the United States, like, it's just, it'd be like an eyesore slash tourist distraction, slash a money grab opportunity for anybody who is in the tunnel digging business, you know. I mean, gosh, like, but I mean, it'd be a tourist attraction, like the Great Wall of America, you know. I mean, they purposely don't try to annex Mexico or anything like that, or offer them to be a part of this country, because they like the whole different legal systems and shit like that. And so somebody could do the research better than I, and make a way better video than what I'm doing right now. And so what you'd be looking for is, at what dollar amount are you able to utilize the credit tax loop, you know? Is that any amount? So I can have a credit card that's in the dollar amount that is my paycheck, and I can spend it all and then pay that back, and then spend it all and pay it back every month, as long as I have a steady income, you know. But then what they do sometimes is they'll recognize that you're doing something like this somehow. It's really weird, and then they just start fucking you. Like, they'll cut back on hours and shit, and then you'll go into debt, and then good luck digging yourself out, you know, without having to wait the 7 years for the debt to drop off. 7 years is a long time to wait, and there's so many little things that they've said. Like this fucking company called me, right? And they were like asking me all these questions about my name and everything like that. Like, don't you have all of this? You know, like you're calling me. You know, trying to collect debt that you say that I owe, while I'm saying that you're scamming, and you don't care, and I do care, and and so it's really interesting, right? And so, but so America, like all of you working people, if you have any, just the smallest bit of responsibility and the ability to maintain a job, even if it's a fucking like a low paying job at Walmart or any gigantic place where they pay a little over minimum wage or something like that. I don't know what the price, what the stuff is now, because America has insanely low minimum wage given the cost of living. You know, like insanely low, and they're like, that's okay. You know, it's like, wow, interesting. So, because everything is that the people who have are special babies, you know, like the spoiled kid in your family, and they can do no wrong, no matter how fucked up they are or how many fights they start, you know, and so your contributions don't really matter. Only these folks' contributions matter because they have the money to bribe and lobby, um, you know, influential people, and they have established life connections with people so that they're able to do shit like this, right? And it's gnarly. Like, this is America. That, you know, like Danny Glover, like your house. This is America. You know, like bribing and lobbying, and you know, and it doesn't matter what skin color you are. You know, like none of that. All it is just what's your tax bracket, and how dirty are you willing to get. You know, how disconnected from reality, or what kind of beliefs have you come up with in your head to be able to justify, you know, what is you're doing. And so, like today, every American who's working at McDonald's or Burger King or Wendy's or Jack in the Box or Popeye's Chicken, or you know, any of these entry level job areas, you know, Walmart or Target, uh, Costco's, you know, outlet stores, Trader Joe's and stuff. Everybody who's working the under $25 an hour, or any amount that gets a steady paycheck, you know, a steady 40 hours or a steady however many hours, like that they know that they're always, that like their statistical probability is in the over 90 percentile, that they are going to be able to get a credit card, and a line of credit, and like sometimes credit cards will allow you to set limits, or at least like tell you when you're going over an amount that you said that you didn't want to spend this much, right? They've worked that into some of these credit companies, and so you can exploit, potentially, like you got to do the research, and you can exploit this little loop, just like the rich people. So you take out and you get credit cards and you get bank loans, right? And you don't, you make the auto pay minimum payment, right? And then you throw, like you stay in the continual loop of paying it off before they're gonna attack interest on. You know, I mean, there's other ways to go, but you can also do the auto, where you wait for it to auto pay the minimum payment, and then you let it accrue a little bit of interest, and then you pay it off, you know, to credit jump. But like, there's a lot of people, and they're just doing the perpetual, because there might be like that oh, like there has to be interest. I don't know. It's a loan. It's a credit loan and stuff like this. And so like there's different. It's about finding. It's really hard to find that because they all are clubby. You know, like no girls allowed. They're clubby. They don't like they're unless you're invited by somebody else. They usually won't let you into their club unless you have some kind of technology or you entertain them or something like that, and then they're more susceptible to allowing you into their club of like the Animal Farm and that one pig that was the prick, like, and his friends like that. They're the club, you know, and everybody else is just a nothing worker, you know, that has to pay to the club. That's exactly what's going on right now all over America, and nobody's caring, okay? But you know, and because you all love money so much, right? So here it is. Like I'm helping you and several other people on YouTube that have billions of dollars and stuff kind of confirmed a bunch of shit, and you can watch their videos. I have a hard time remembering their names / I don't know if they want to be connected with this video, and so but you would know, you'd see they're very popular YouTube videos. One is a, you know, you would know, you'd know them when you came across. There's a bunch of these credit videos and stuff like that, right? And so basically, like all of you entry level type workers, you know, every worker and everybody in America who has a steady income and is responsible can exploit these tax holes. You know, I'm pretty sure you'd have to really you could do the research on your own potentially if you're in the right areas of the country and you can really read well, and if you can't find it in the law libraries where they're supposed to have every law, you know, according to fairness or something like that, you know, like they can't have, like it wouldn't make any sense that America could have a bunch of laws that only a few knew about, you know. So it would have to be, it would be there and it would be hidden in plain sight, covered with wording that you probably don't understand unless you have a very advanced law degree and your mom and dad or somebody like your family comes from a family of lawyers type of thing, you know, or you're really intelligent and you have read so many books from all different time periods, and you understand vernacular and all this kind of stuff to be able to find, like, it's not written in any English that we'd understand. It's written in chat GTB nonsense, you know, the royal nonsuch. Like it's all meant to be so that you like, and there's a good chance that just like the Cherokee tribe like proved that, you know, like they were like, okay, well, so the Europeans, like, you value these traits and we're gonna prove to you that we can, you know, do and show you these traits, and therefore we should be treated as an equal or something like that. And they you know, like they had the first alphabet for the tribes, I guess, and a whole bunch of other stuff that was all you know, like European society values, and the Europeans, you know, made them do the Trail of Tears and all of that stuff. So, you know, you can still go and do all this stuff, and if it comes in front of the wrong judge or the wrong auditor or something like this, they won't accept your legal wording, because you may, like, you would have to find precedents and clauses from previous cases and stuff, you know. And so, Like, but I'm pretty sure that anybody, like, you don't have to pay taxes on credit or something like that, or on the debt money, and you just have to pay taxes on like the items that you bought, maybe, but like the initial, because you get the initial income tax, right, and then you get the asset tax. I'm pretty sure, but I'm 100% sure on asset tax. That might be other countries, and not the U.S., but probably the U.S. Like when you buy a car, you have to pay the taxes on the car that are like, there's like the state taxes that, your percent is like 6% per dollar, plus various other taxes that go into this car, besides like road taxes and stuff, like your registration and safety. And so, or your registration, and the safety is more of a legal courtesy, for the sake of insurance, and insurance is a, ooh, that's a tough one, because that's a real tough one, because it doesn't, like, if you add up how much you pay for insurance, right, and the odds of you getting into an accident, you're giving these companies like an insane amount of money on the in case that you get into an accident, and they're saying like, oh, well, we're paying other people with this money that you're sending in, and if you get into this accident, then we'll pay you, if so long as everything meets the guidelines, and I assume, like, you don't, like, maybe the people who do the assessments are just really well trained or something, and able to like separate themselves from the people who they're assessing, like in case the person that, is like a lower class individual and starts mouthing off to them, and then now, even though everything meets the case parameters, like, they're not going to pay because the person on the ground is pissed off at you or something like that, because that's totally possible, that's a totally possible thing. And so, like, everybody who's working right now in America and gets a steady paycheck can get a credit card or a personal loan, unless it's, because I think it's any debt. I'm pretty sure it's any debt you can pay. You don't have to pay the taxes on. Like, you can, your paycheck, instead of giving, like, either you can give the 33 the percentage out of the paycheck like you normally do, and then you keep all your stubs and everything like that, so that when you claim on taxes, like, you get to claim all of this money as debt payments, or you don't, you forego the paying of the taxes at each paycheck, instead you're going to do your own W-2, and not every company allows this. A lot of places, they're like, if you're a certain level of worker, you're guaranteed paying your taxes. It's really funny because they don't want to pay their taxes, right, at all, but they fucking make you pay your taxes. Like, you're getting shit on from these fuckers. Like, I mean, maybe it's not all crappy, like workplace treatment and stuff like that, but you're still, like, these people are not paying their taxes like you're paying your taxes, and they'll still chastise you and look down on you for your economic standing and stuff occasionally. And so, basically, like, if you have a little bit of responsibility, and also, like, it helps if you have a small, like, at the very least, like, a few $1,000s, enough to cover a few payments, or to seal the debt if it comes to it, unless you're willing to do these waits, like, if you wait long enough, even though it fucks your credit score, and then when you do settle the debt with them, like, you still had like 2 years or more, 4 years of just, it's like but but then like it'll knock your like, so you have to wait, and they get like a portion of what you owed, and then you get you know, you get to have your credit better before 7 years, and you're not starting out at almost zero again, you know. And so like these guys, right, they're just gnarly, they're just gnarly. And so so like your employers are usually trying to pay as little taxes as possible, and then they do like this fellow American told us in a stand-up comedy special. I think his name. I don't know that I should say his name, but like, because I don't know that he want to be linked with this video. Jin Yang, I think was his name. Maybe he was a character on a TV show. You know. But I mean, it's a stand-up comedy special, right? And and so like basically your like they'll tell you like how expensive their lives are and all of this stuff, like everything that's like just basic playground manipulating, like, oh, don't mind my, you know, like, oh, like I deserve more than you, and I want to give it to myself, you know, like my cousin had this girlfriend who worked at a bar in Wailea in Maui, and the managers were doing these illegal scams from their tips, you know, and they were like illegal, like they took so much money from these workers, and I don't think that the workers ever got any recourse because it was cash tips, you know, and so these, like, they were local women or whatever you want to call them, from what I saw, but I think there might have been a white chick too, and they were making the waitresses and the tipped employees give them a percentage of their tips, you know, like that was the deal, you know, and they're just going to do them, or not going to work, or somebody's gonna get stupid with them or some shit like that. I don't really know. Because I mean, I've seen all kinds of stuff out here and all across fucking America. The real America, not the bullshit that they fucking say, the Star Spangled fucking bullshit. The real fucking America with their real taxpayers and fucking citizens, you know, and all the death threats and underhanded shit, and the, if you don't, like, I like you and you don't like me, and I'm the boss and now I'm angry, and oh, we're in a state where there's no, like, you can't put a hidden mic on you or camera or something like that and it be legally actionable, you know, even though you can still record everything like that, and even if it's not admissible in the courts of law, you know, like, it's still totally admissible in the public opinion courts. You know, just fucking make sure that nobody fucking knows you're doing it, because most people get really weird when they find out that you're recording, even if it's just like I want to record, like, I, you know, I like to record every moment of my life, kind of thing, not because I'm, you know, hunting to sue people and stuff like that, but because I'm, you know, like, I want to get to know myself and whatnot, you know, and rehab a love and friendship with myself again, you know, because I've wronged myself, and I don't know how to unwrong myself, you know, like, what can I do, self, to, you know, what can I do, self, to get it so that we're cool again, you know. But so, like, everybody can go and get these credit cards. Provide, like, the only way that I would do this is if you're actually somebody who is capable of paying off your debt and keeping a budget, no matter what's going on, you know, like, you have no excuses, and you set it up so, like, this credit card pays off everything for you, you know, is like everything, is your food, everything, all your bills, your housing, all on this credit card every month, and you have your things spaced out in the right way, and so you get your paycheck, and then you get your paycheck, and then you go on and you pay off the credit companies. And it's usually split, right? You get 2 paychecks in a month or in a 30-day pay cycle or something. And some have like weekly paychecks, and so you allocate everything for your proper budgeting, and you do, like, literally you don't go above it. Like, that's the only way that you're ever gonna get any kind of thing. And so you have your checking account. Your checking account is where you have your checks direct deposited, and then your money sits there, and your savings sits there in your savings account. But the checking account is what you're paying everything with, and you pay off these companies before the due date. Like, really, every time it's owed, like, you pay it. Boom, you just pay it, direct deposit straight into the account, right off the app, and and your credit score will climb and climb, and before you know it, you'll have an 800 score. Even like you have to keep in mind that it's all within your tax bracket and income bracket. Like, that's your 800 score. So they're not going to give you an unlimited $1 million credit line, or like, however, because I assume like all unlimited lines probably cap out, but they say they're unlimited. But I don't know, because I've never seen, like, a friend of mine showed me what a black card looked like, besides besides a TV show, and I was like, oh wow, like, when I get these cards, they have prints on them, and I end up in insane amounts of debt, because something comes up, and like COVID-19, and then you lose everything, and nobody cares, or they do sort of care, and you're such a damaged individual that you don't, whatever it is, or you're just like, it's not exactly like the trip, so I don't even want to see where this could go, or that's not you chose a different version or whatever that I didn't approve of, that I don't approve of, because I don't like how you're the value that you're giving me for whatever it is. But so that's neither here nor there, or something like that. But so, like, everyday workers, you can do this, and I'm pretty sure, like, somewhere you're not paying taxes, like, if you're living the hand-to-mouth life, pretty much, you're never really going to be paying any fucking taxes. It's all going to be just this continuous loop of you paying back the credit card company, and that's what you try to keep it in, and you never acquire more than $11,000 in your savings account, and you just keep this going, because I'm tired. Like, I have my disabilities and stuff like that, and I've never been respected for my skill within the rounds of whatever it is, to get the pay grades that made me not feel used or something like that, or like, I went to a job and then I got put in weird situations, for potential stuff if somebody, for whatever reason, and so I'm just like, here you go. Like, I'm pretty sure this is how it works. And if you actually take the time to listen to an hour fucking black screen podcast while you're gaming and shit, like, I'm pretty fucking sure this works. Okay, and so you just, like, it doesn't, because they don't care. Okay, there's a small portion of people in America, and the other thing is, this is like an active protest against their system of inflation and credit loan, and so they're using this inflation credit loan to economically destroy and enslave, like, the masses, basically. Like people having to work 2 jobs, um, almost, two almost 40-hour a piece jobs to fucking afford um, a house and the bills that come with the house, and usually not even one that they own, you know. Uh, and even if it's one that they still have to pay property taxes on top of the fucking mortgage. And so everything adds up, right? But so if you have a steady income and you're able to maintain a budget, and you're always on it, you can do this, and you just live in this continual debt cycle, you know. Just always debt. You never have any real money of your own. It's always going to the credit card company, and then you never have to pay taxes. Like there may be like a few taxes that you do have to pay, like I said, the 6% at the state, or whatever it is, and then like maybe a few others, but you're off of the majority of taxes, and that's what these rich guys are doing. Says this one rich dude, and these other rich dudes, I think, as well. But that one guy said it, and I was like, oh, I understand more, because I was already trying to do something like this, but it didn't work out because I didn't have a savings to cover myself in the potential dry runs, the dry spells that occasionally pop up in life, depending on what kind of a life you have, or how people treat you and stuff like that, and your eccentricities. And how you're valued by the rest of society, and respected with money for your work and stuff. And so, like a McDonald's worker can go and get a credit card, or a loan, and pay off that. Like you spend, the credit card is probably the better route to go. But maybe not. It depends on the person and their budgeting abilities. And so, because you could just continually get loans, and you pay them off in the proper way, which is, I mean, usually, like, because the whole thing is that you want to give them their interests so that they're more willing to give you, but you don't want to give them too much interest. And so, but loans are fixed interest usually. I think, a lot of for the people who are in these lower tax brackets, like I'm pretty sure most of the loans are near predatory and fixed. With like really high interest rates, like 17% or something like that, or like 30-something% interest rates, but as long as they make the minimum monthly payments, like they know their time frame. And so what you do is you have an account that's just for that, and there are some banks that will allow you to open up separate accounts. And it's so much easier when you can have separate accounts. And worse to worse, if you can't get banks that'll give you separate accounts, because some banks don't allow separate accounts. You can only get one account, with your name and stuff like that, which is really difficult. But sometimes they'll let you go and open up another account at a different branch. That's what I was doing. But like I declared it all legally, but it just for the sake of paying, like keeping my money separate, like everything was reported like legally to the taxes or whatever the F that shit is. And so like I would have my like 4 accounts, all with my legal name and everything like that, and all declared. And then like one account would be the main account that gets paid into, that's my paycheck type thing. And then the second account would be for online purchases, and then the third account is like I owe to this credit card, and the fourth account is like another credit card or loan sort of situation. Was how I was like planning to do it, I would say, I guess, you know, in hindsight. And so you like the like when you have all of your life covered with the first two, the second and the third account, um, you know, because the one, like, say the first one is a debit account, right, and then the next account is a credit account or a loan account, and so like they're everything's separated or whatever, so that you can pay it off, but you have your one main account that the money pulls into, and then you transfer it to these other places, as you need to. But then when you have, so like you have enough money to buy a car, right, and you want to have like this really insane solid score, and you don't, you're in the lower tax bracket, and you're trying to establish your worthiness for whatever it is you're about to do. And I'm pretty sure that you have your separate account that you put the amount of money that pays off the car with all the interest and everything like that, and then you like you can go as far as to even have the money for the oil changes and shit, like it's your car account. And you have everything auto payment, and then you set it and you forget it, and your credit score will keep going up, and you'll just look really good, and eventually like you'll get into the zone where you can borrow like a lot more money. But the whole thing is always like respecting the, you know, how much you can get away with, like whatever your real budget is. You know, if you can keep in a real budget and you don't go into I'm gonna buy Louis Vuitton bags and stuff like that, you know, like it's a whole different thing. Okay. And your credit score will climb, and your reputation with these people, the lenders and stuff, will climb, and then you'll get into this zone, but you're not paying taxes on all of this shit this whole time because it's all debted, you know. And so, but I guess you have to do the, so that you're paying off the car with the taxes. Well, let's just say it's a car loan, so you're paying back the debt on the loan. But so that's the thing, is that there's a good chance that within the legal wordings of the law, all of these little loops and tricks only exist to the crowd that not only went to college, but like their mommy and daddy were popular and were fun at parties, so like they know everybody, and they got the best opportunities regardless of anything, except for that, you know, it's all the people network kind of thing. And like they're already part of the club and vouched for kind of situation. And so there's a good chance that that's what's going on, which would make it so that this is like, anybody who's in denial is like, some part of them knows like what they're doing to the rest of us is wrong, and they don't care, you know, like, and that, but one part of them is like, I have to, like the people who are like, oh, my life is so expensive, I have so much bills, you know, while they have their like millions of dollars in their bank account, and and you're sitting there next to them in your 5-year-old t-shirt and your fucking you know, waiting out, you know, between eating, and you know, living the meager moment to moment life or something like that, and they're like, oh, look, I know how it feels, brother, I've been there too, I'm there right now, you know, like, and you're like, oh wow, like look at this fucking guy, you know, with his Balenciagas and stuff like that. Or just, and so, but so like that's there's all of these tax scams, right? And like, how much of this is in the, like, only available to the crowd that makes over a certain amount in a year. Like, I would say that there's probably a decent amount that's only available to this crowd that makes a certain amount a year. And so isn't that lords and ladies? You know, I thought this was fucking America, and that sounds like it's lords and ladies, and that we are no longer America. Like, are we under invasion from Britain or something like that? You know, have we been for a long time since lords and ladies became a thing? But they always had this group, even when it was like America. You know, that's what I keep reminding myself, that it was always like 3% of America, and then they would kind of fight amongst themselves, you know, establishing their pecking order, and then the rest of America was where they sucked their money from, you know, and then they would kick back to Europe occasionally, you know, to have a backing, you know, if so they'll fake it, like, oh no, like, oh, we were all wrong and stuff like that, as they're walking towards the boat to go back to Europe, while the European armies come to fucking slaughter, sort of shit. And like, these are like their plans, their emergency getaways, because it's literally, it's a planet full of fucking scammers. And especially like America, like, has, that's straight, like a gigantic portion of America is just one scam after another, you know, scam, and then gaslighting and denial, diversionary tactics, and all this manipulative whatever, and they're like, this is America, yay, maybe one day we'll be invaded and my skills will be useful, yay, until then I'm just a fucking shitbag, you know. And then even then, like, who knows what this guy is doing, like, on the off time when he's not fucking scamming for America. And so, like, that's the life that you fuckers are trying to perpetuate. It's fucked up. And I can't get into the tax brackets where I can just hide and be around other people who are like, well, like, I understand this stuff too, and, you know, to whatever degree they have, and they're like, well, I like open dialogue conversations as well, about all sorts of things, and I can, you know, like, in a safe space, so long as we're not spitting on each other and stuff like that, that we can, you know, and not causing ear damage, that we can raise our voices in an argument or a conversation, to really have a conversation or an argument with each other, you know, to figure out what are these ideas that we have, you know, like, because I don't like, oh, am I really yelling at you, or am I just trying to get this idea, like, beyond this, and I have to, like, you're something to help, and if I lash out at you in a way, you know, like, you'll lash back, and then I'll really get to the bottom of whatever this thought is, you know. And that is not what's going on now, because the problem is most people are not on that level. And then the other side is the you never know, like, the long run, who anybody is. That's how I have lived my life. I don't know the long run how anybody is, and you know, you could be my friend today, and I don't know what you'll try and do to me tomorrow. That's been my entire life in America since I was a fucking baby. My whole fucking life, motherfuckers. And so I just I hit a wall, literally several times. I got some scars on my head and stuff, but I mean, yeah, I got my CAT scans, or one, maybe two. I don't know, but that doesn't, like, the validity of what I'm saying is something beyond whatever the speaker and their traumas and stuff is, or are, or were, or was, you know. And so I'm like, is it, because it's a conglomerated effort because we don't have a like a true democracy. Like if I was gonna make a democracy kind of thing, I would be like, look, you guys want to collect this tax dollars and be able to spend these insane amounts of money. Like I'm gonna want you to read this fucking shit out loud so that I can hear what the fuck you're saying, and then like maybe write an essay about what you think this is about, you know. And then we have like chat bots and stuff, and all this shit can be analyzed without too much whatever it is, you know. And like I like that's just the way it goes, you know, because like who are like that's what it is. It'll make it so that these people can't like they'll have laws that are like 800 pages just for 2 sentences. I'm serious. I'm totally serious. And I guess most of your minds can't grasp this, or like you're just like I don't even want to think about it because I like it's still America and this is still like one of the best countries to be a Jotun or a human or another Umirian or whatever else you are, you know. Maybe you're an Andromedan or a plebeian or a Flavian or Flavienus, you know. I don't know. You could be all sorts of things. You could be a political party. You could be, but so like this guy Timothy Leary or whatever said like, think for yourselves, question authority, right? And they were all like, oh, like like uh like the authority is like the government and all this stuff, and like yes, they're a authority. But your biggest authority is your peer groups, you know, is the people that you interact with on a daily basis, and those that, you know, are your influencers and stuff, and they are your true governing body for many of you. um, it's so scary, but you can quite possibly exploit the same freaking tax holes as these rich people with these credit. Like, you know, you just live in perpetual debt, and you're very responsible about your whatever it is, you know, your ins and outs, and you'll never have to pay the same level of taxes again. And if enough of us do this, then maybe the politicians will decide that they don't have enough money to keep whatever it is going, and they have to dissolve some of their asinine worded bullshit that makes it so that people don't have to pay taxes, but officers need to get paid. Nobody's going to want to go. You don't really want people who are going to go out and do police officering for free, maybe, you know, because like it that's so disrespectful, you know, to because of the reality of the lives that we've made, that folks aren't getting paid the proper, and then like these guys have to deal with your day's stuff. You know, you can get pulled over and then just start unloading on them, and you know, some of you are way more capable with your words than the guy who you're talking to, who you did run a red light and you were speeding, and they're just trying to be cool. And no, like you have to, like if you can't accept your level of ability and engagement, then you're fucking fucked already. You know, you don't want to get yourself in over your head and not be able to swim out or whatever, right? And so, like they'll pull over somebody who's like a wordsmith, and then they'll just fuck with them. They'll fuck with them, and then some of them can do it in a really good legal way. So it's really hard, and it does, like, it's like psychological warfare. And they did speed. They were going 40 miles above the fucking speed limit, you know, and shit like that. So, and a gigantic portion of society is like, yeah, no, you shouldn't have to pay your speeding ticket, you know, until like that person crashes their car and dies and kills other people. And oh wait, not only do you know them, but you know the other people that they killed. And then that maybe, like for a second, you'll think like, oh, I guess this doesn't make fucking sense. Maybe, likely not, but maybe. So. Mm. So, like, one of my favorite bands has their first two albums, which were like the best playthrough two albums that they have, and then their later albums that had a couple of, you know, hits that were pretty big. But now that I'm looking back, it seems like other people found um, these songs and are like, oh yeah, you know, like I'm seeing like 49 million and 56 million, 452 million, you know. And so, but they have the vinyl for the frickin' for the albums that had like bigger singles instead of their two, like their best two albums that are just like the most and that had like great album art on it, you know, like way better. Like Woodland was just a classic. I mean, gosh, and they don't have the vinyl for it. Like I want to have that vinyl like up on my wall, like a painting, you know. And we'll hate what we lost, but we'll love what we found. And so I challenge you, you know, because I'm fucking fed up, and I'm not gonna do anything, of course, because I have dedicated myself to not doing anything. Because every time I do something, somebody is a dick to me, or my body fails me, or my brain fails me. And it's really embarrassing, and it's hard to deal with, you know. But so this is one of my, you know, unpaid for skills, unsolicited, amazing information. You know, totally unsolicited. But I would like, you know, like my stepdad used to say, "Oh, do the work first and then ask for the pay after," and then they'd always fuck me, you know, because you're just low class, despicable motherfuckers. And I guess that works sometimes with some people, like maybe from a different generation. They had a little bit more class when it came to that. Like, oh shit, like you did this grade of work, and like you deserve a compensation that makes you feel valued, and then like I'll call you up again, like for sure, because I trust your work, you know. And so that like people just out like these and mostly Democrats that I came across out here, and some of them were really cool to some degree, and then others were not. I mean, like I had this one job, right, and they had some of my favorite food going, and a friend of mine at the time, he like helped I got to like occasionally work next to him or something like that and talk story, and like they were paying $10 an hour basically to keep their restaurant alive, and I would get one meal, and a little bit of nothing tips, you know. And then always, of course, you know, like when it was a tipless day, and there was only like a little bit, you know, like the chicks in the front who had to deal with the people would ask if they could keep the tips, which of course I was like, yeah, because I mean you have to deal with the people and stuff like that, and you know, like I mean you're, yeah, and so like but so $10 an hour, and I was just like, and because I was so abused with my self-worth and stuff, or like I got to experience a different time, you know, or I guess there's a lot of people who have worked for $1 an hour, um, and done that multiple times, and then like, oh, $5 or $7 an hour, you know, or oh, like you did a whole shitload of work and you thought you were gonna get overtime, and you did a great job, and the guy's like, no, like I didn't say I was gonna pay for that, kind of thing, It's like, oh my gosh. So there's just so many low class dicks, and but I mean, it doesn't matter whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. You can be one of those low class dicks, And so sometimes there are some high class individuals, who are just a lot nicer and like value your shit. But yeah, it's a hard one for most people, for this gigantic majority of America, because this is still a country and this is a unstable world, with a bunch of everybody else wants to be themselves to some degree, even though a lot of places around the world they're pretty like, like we all kind of do and agree with this to some extent, and don't go against the group kind of mentality. And then they're kind of like that used to be America to an extent, and oh my gosh. And so so like it's very clear and evident that this gigantic portion of society, that's disproportionate to the amount of people that are existing in it, are just greedy children, and they just keep getting worse. And they're like, I got my gun and I got my bulletproof vest, and I have my bag of tricks, and I don't want to let you even have a chance, and so yeah, well, so maybe if enough people do this credit thing, and they pay it back and they keep this going in this loop, inflation will get to the point where it really breaks the dollar a lot faster, and they'll have to admit that their laws are nonsense, for the sake of greed and stuff like that. And because what about the rest of it? Because they're saying that the rest of us don't matter, and they won't admit that they're narcissists, so if they'll admit that they're an authentically, like, their shadow and their whatever, their self admit, yes, I am a narcissist, then they have a closer shot at being able to even just better fake empathy with everybody else, so like credit, like if we all, because they're exploiting these credit holes and stuff, and so like their basis of dollars being put into the economy and to the people, is based on credit, apparently. Like that's how it's no longer a gold system and stuff like that. That's probably really good, but like credit, it just doesn't, it's not working. You gotta figure this out.